Yeah, and we're back. All right, guys. Finally, we're back. Hey, Randall. All is well, brother. Hope all is well with you. And we got a few people on. We'll give it another minute or so. It's good to be back. We were forced to miss a week. And that is because YouTube blocked my account again for another week. So if people were wondering what happened to us last Saturday, why this time? Interesting. I did a review a week or so ago on the uh, 6-hour GTO, and apparently YouTube flagged me again and said that I violated community guidelines, and they suspended my account for a week. So I wasn't able to upload videos, or do a live stream, which is why last Wednesday and last Saturday we didn't have our live stream. And it seems like no matter how careful I am, they find a way to shut me down every now and then. But we're back. That's the most important thing. You know, it's funny. I don't know if you guys pay attention to all the nonsense gun laws that lunatic governor of West Virginia is trying to implement. And it's funny that just one state away in Virginia, I just saw an article where the state of Virginia is now going to allow people to buy and own machine guns. So it's just crazy how two states right next to each other are that drastic. And that's what happens in an election. I say it all the time. Hey, Duke, welcome, brother. I say it all the time. That's why you need to vote for pro gun representatives in your state. I tell everyone don't be complacent because you live in a gun friendly state. Um, Virginia was gun friendly at one time too. And now look, they voted for this lunatic governor, and now it's getting to be like a communist state. And we already got the liberals joining us. That's good. They are very entertaining. And I really am flattered by these liberals because they don't have jobs, so they just wake up out of their parents' basements and decide to join a pro gun channel. So it's kind of ironic or moronic, but yeah, Minnesota is following suit as well. And Tampon Tim should just be removed from office for being incompetent. Um, on Saturday, we're going to be doing a giveaway on our live stream. Um, obviously, you guys know I get sent a lot of stuff to review, and I like to share it with you guys. Um, I'm trying to read comments here, and if I don't give a shout out to you, I apologize for that. They do scroll by very quickly. So, on our Saturday stream at 12 noon Eastern, I will be giving away a shot timer. I've been given multiple shot timers to review. I can't use them all, and I'd rather give them to my subscribers. So you do need to be a subscriber to be eligible to win. Burger Sleuth, you're going away too. Another liberal in mommy's basement. Yeah, I don't understand is that all these parents that have their grown liberal children living in their basement, why don't they put their foot down? I don't understand. Yeah, well, that's the problem, garage guy, is that, um, like I always say, it only takes one election, right? I mean, look at what happened in Virginia. These people are going to lose all their gun rights. And then you have West Virginia right next door that's allowing people to purchase machine guns. And yeah, I hate to say it again, but all these shootings we're having, uh, I am a data analyst by trade. And I'll get to you in a minute there, Sleepy Time, because I disagree with that. Hey, Ted, welcome back. I analyze a lot of data. And prior to the past few months, they never indicated in the data whether people were transgender or not. And now, when you look at gun deaths, the transgender people have a astronomically high rate of committing mass shootings. There's definitely got something to be said for that. And Sleepy Time, you know what? I totally disagree. I love Donald Trump. I voted for him both times. I was at the NRA convention in July last year when he promised to protect our Second Amendment and he promised national reciprocity. Donald Trump hasn't done shit for our gun rights. I'm just saying. I love the man to death, and I'll vote for him over and over and over again. But he has not lived up to his promise and hasn't done anything for our gun rights. And Pam Bondi, she's also not a friend of the Second Amendment. She's done nothing. Sleepy Time videos. My thoughts on felons owning guns. As long as they're not violent felons, see, here's the problem with the law. They don't separate it and say, if you're a violent felon, you can't own a gun. They lump them all into one category. And it should be done on a case-by-case basis, right? If you're a felon because you embezzled money or you committed fraudulent tax returns, that's not the same as a felon that robbed and murdered people. So uh, I think that it should be uh, handled on a case by case basis based on what the felony was. But um, I don't see Trump doing anything for our gun rights. And it's probably because he's not going to get it past the House or the Senate. We got a lot of rhinos in there. But the Supreme Court years ago should have put their foot down and stopped individual states from having their own gun laws. Well, you know what, Randall? That's a touchy subject. If you have a domestic violence record, even though it's a misdemeanor, they take domestic violence very seriously. When you go to purchase a firearm, it's one of the questions on the ATF form. And honestly, I don't know. I'm not big on uh, a person committing domestic violence from owning a firearm. I mean, he may beat somebody with his fists today, and he may shoot him tomorrow. Um, I know there's some comments I missed. Apologize for that. They do scroll by very fast. Marley, what's my favorite caliber? Hence Pro Gun 45. I would say 45. But 10 millimeter is right up there too. Mike, there was some nice shooting there with that gun. You know, I got to get one next. That Smith & Wesson 10 millimeter folding carbine, I definitely got to get one of them next. Yep. The cool thing about that, Mike, is it uses the same magazines as the Smith & Wesson 2.0 10 millimeter. So that would be really cool to have the pistol and the rifle. So getting back to President Trump, what I don't like about the current administration and their broken promises about protecting the Second Amendment is that they're taking a victory lap around the $200 tax stamp being waived. That's not a victory at all. Only thing it does is you don't pay the $200 tax fee. Yeah, we get that, Steve, but apparently it's not true. We all know what the Second Amendment says, but yet you have individual states that do whatever they want to do, make up their own gun laws, and I still find it hard to believe that why the Second Amendment is the only amendment that requires a license or a permit. And why is it that they only pick on the Second Amendment? They don't pick on the other ones. I can tell you why. They do that because the Second Amendment protects all the others. Well, I disagree, Sleepy Time Video. If somebody served a sentence because they shot and killed somebody, I don't think when they get out of jail they should own a firearm. I'm sorry. I support the Second Amendment as well as anybody else, but people don't change. That's the funny thing. After last night, every Democrat should be embarrassed. I mean, think about it. The Democrat with brain damage, John Fetterman, is the only Democrat that's got any brains. I mean, how crazy is that? Yeah, and I get you, Anthony. We used to live in communist state of New Germany before we moved to Tennessee 7 years ago. We know what it's like. Governor Murphy destroyed that state. That's why we left. But I think it's ironic, though, that John Fetterman, the guy with brain damage, has got more sense than all the other Democrats. John Fetterman is the only Democrat that shook President Trump's hand. So, in my book, Fetterman's a good guy. No, I disagree with that, Randall. It's not a win. It's not a win at all. All they did was eliminate the tax fee. It's still on the NFA. It's still on the ATF form. They didn't do anything. I don't know why they're taking a victory lap on that damn $200. And I mean, let's face it. This administration they've done nothing for our Second Amendment rights. RFK, I'm sorry. I don't know about he was a Democrat. But JFK was probably the last Democrat that loved his country. He was a God-fearing man. He supported the Second Amendment. Well, I'm good for you there, Sleepy Time, and kudos to you. But I have to say, based on statistics, that's not the norm. Well, that's the funny thing, though, Jimmy, is that the Second Amendment is not the government's right to take away from us, but they do. And every state makes up their own laws, which kind of doesn't make any sense. Again, why is it only the Second Amendment? You don't see different states changing the First Amendment or the Fourth Amendment. No, what do? They pick the Second Amendment because Second Amendment protects the rest. If you get rid of the Second Amendment, they could take all the others away. And I'm sorry, but I will not comply. But like I said, the Second Amendment is not the government's right to take away. The Second Amendment also shouldn't evaporate because you cross state lines. Yes, they are God-given rights. Unfortunately, the liberals don't believe in God. And after last night, I got to tell you, anybody that's a liberal should be ashamed of himself. It's not only the liberal states. In some cases, cities or counties have their own rules, right? And look at Pennsylvania. You can get a permit to carry in Pennsylvania, but Pittsburgh and Philly, you can't carry. Well, that's the problem, Duke. The illegals are always going to have their guns, and so are the bad guys. And this is the problem. The problem is that the liberals can't control the criminals. So the only thing they can do is to control us, right? There's enough gun laws on the books. We don't need any more gun laws. We really don't. And now you have liberals creating gun laws to make things that are already illegal. How freaking stupid do you have to be? I mean, so they're passing laws to make switches and ghost guns illegal when they're already illegal. So now they're going to make them double illegal? I mean, all of the time and effort and waste of taxpayers' money To make stuff that's already illegal on the federal level illegal is just stupid. Aaron Young, my thoughts on Rock Island 1911s. Um, for what they cost, they're not bad guns, right? TSAS is much better. But the Rock Island, they're made in the Philippines. They're kind of sketchy, just like Taurus. You either get a good one or a bad one. But the Rock Island 1911s are not bad. But would I carry one to trust my life with? I doubt it. You know, I know people like to buy budget guns and people like to collect, so they buy a lot of cheap guns. But when I go to purchase a firearm for personal defense or to protect my family, cheap doesn't enter my mind. I never go into a gun store and say, what's the cheapest piece of crap you could sell me to protect my life? And not to hurt people's feelings, but that's how I feel when it comes to buying a Rock Island or a Taurus. They're just shoddy. The quality control is hit or miss. And I have a Taurus G3C. I've never had a problem with it. But I could tell you, if you Google how many of them have been returned, it's mind-boggling. I always tell people to buy the best you could afford. And if all you could afford is a piece of crap, save your money for another month or so. Do yourself a favor. And for a couple reasons. It's not only having a gun that's a better quality. If, God forbid, one day, for whatever reason, you need to sell a firearm because you need money, you're not going to get anything for a Taurus. So you also have that to keep in mind. Now, I had a Rock Island a while back, and I got to tell you, I shot it at the range and it shot fine. And I was carrying it for about 2 weeks, like you carry a 1911, cocked and locked. And after 2 weeks, I came home one day and I decided to pop a couple rounds off in the backyard. So I flipped the safety off and I pulled the trigger, wouldn't fire. Took the magazine out, it fired. Put the magazine back in, didn't fire. Did the same thing with an empty mag. Put an empty mag in, wouldn't fire. Took it out, it fired. I had to send it back to Rock Island via FedEx. And they did repair it, and it worked after that. But in the back of my mind, I always had that, I don't know if I could trust this. And, when I have a bad experience with a product or a brand, I will never, ever buy one again. You lose my confidence once, and you'll never get it back. I do see we have some new people on this stream, so I'm very happy that it's getting pushed out to you guys. If you haven't done so, please hit the subscribe button. Appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notifications. We do these live streams every Wednesday evening, 8 o'clock Eastern, and Saturday at 12 noon Eastern. And good evening, Luca. Good to see you again, brother. And for those who just joined and they were wondering why they didn't see our stream for a week, it is because YouTube blocked my account again for violating community guidelines. So they suspended me for a week. I wasn't able to comment, post, upload, do a live stream, etc. So Well, that's tough, Ted. I got to tell you. I mean, I've been around firearms for 40 years. I have never seen a revolver malfunction ever. But you know, I am that way with brands in general. If I purchase something and I'm not happy with the quality, whether it's a an electronic device or a firearm, etc., I'll never buy a product from them again. And when it's a firearm, it's even worse. If I buy a firearm and I have an issue with it, I will never ever trust it again. Only 26 rounds before breaking. I mean, that's a factory defect, and unfortunately, um, you can buy a Mercedes or a Rolls Royce that's a lemon. But I agree with you. If I bought a Smith and Wesson revolver and it broke on me, I'd never buy another one. I certainly would never carry it. That said, I do love my Smith and Wesson 686 Deluxe. I trust my life to that. I've never had a problem with it. I love my Ruger GP 100. I trust that with my life. And for sure, my Colt Python. And again, this stream is for you guys. Um, it is an open forum, so any firearm related topics or any liberal bashing is totally acceptable, as long as it doesn't get personal. Um, Arguing is a good thing. I've learned different point of views from having arguments on these streams. So, any topics you'd like to discuss, just put them in there. Um, doesn't show me everybody that's on. So if you want, you can just say hello so I can give you a shout out. It only tells me how many people we have on the stream. I got another optic that was just sent to me from Zulisi. I'll be reviewing it this weekend. Like I said, for the money, you can't beat Zulisi optics. They are just incredible. For the price, uh, I put them up against my Hollow Sun any day. And they just sent me the Oak C, and the Oak C is kind of unique. It's got an RMR footprint that'll mount directly to your firearm if you have an RMR cut, but it also comes with a Picatinny rail mount, so you can also use it on a rifle. Now, I'm going to probably put that on my Smith & Wesson M&P FPC 9mm. I honestly, Ryan, I'm not a fan of most sites other than Trijicon. Um, I haven't seen Burris sites, so I can't really give you an answer on it. I have used True Glow. I just I'm hoping my revolver will be done. I brought my Smith & Wesson 686 into my gunsmith a week or two ago uh, to change the Smith & Wesson sights with high-vis fiber optic. So I can't wait to see those. Um, but I have not used Burris sights, so I can't really give you an honest opinion on that. Well, it looks like for everything that they replaced, Ted, they should have just sent you a new gun. I do like that Smith and Wesson moved to Maryville, Tennessee, about 2 years ago. Um, they had a open house party. My wife and I went. You actually had to buy tickets for it. And it was really awesome. They had music, food, vendors. It was fantastic. It's a great location. Um, And a lot of gun companies are moving to Tennessee. Beretta moved to Tennessee. Henry's moving to Tennessee. Um, I was glad when I got my Henry Big Boy a couple of weeks ago. It's still stamped made in Bayonne, New Jersey on it, which I'm real happy about, being that we're from New Jersey. Um, but Henry moved to New Jersey, and also um, Uzi has moved to Tennessee. And Dale, hello, welcome back, brother. Yeah, I agree, Ted. Normally, I'm surprised. Normally, they just send you a new firearm. Um, Seems like they went through a lot of work for a repair. Um, they should have just given you a new one and melted that one down. Again, if you're new to this live stream, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and watch our videos. I think we have over 850 videos now. I just got some snap caps from Snap Point. I reviewed their 9mm snap caps last year, and now they just came out with snap caps for 38 Special, 357 Magnum, 10mm, 40 caliber, and 45 ACP. And they're awesome. They use real brass cases and they use real bullets instead of plastic. Um, the firing pin has got a pad on it, so there's obviously no fire pin and no powder in them, but they have the look, feel, and weight of live ammo, which is exactly what you want when you're practicing. Well, that's really too bad, Ted. I mean, Smith & Wesson has a pretty good reputation. I don't think I've ever seen a bad one. For that matter, in 40 years, I've never seen a revolver malfunction. And, you know, people say what they want about polymer frame striker fired guns. Um, Unless you're buying a piece of crap, they've really come a long way. I mean, you know, the Glock 19 set the standard for polymer frame striker fires, but there's so many other good ones on the market right now. I used to, because I'm old school, I used to only swear by hammer fired guns, but there's a lot of striker fire guns now that are really good. That's a great question, Ryan. And yes, and yes. Yes, I reload my own ammo, and head spacing is absolutely necessary. Um, it's a lot less critical with a revolver. If you're reloading for a revolver, you could be off a couple thousandths of an inch. It's not that big of a deal. Um, but on a semi-automatic, if that head spacing is off, you're definitely going to have problems when it goes up into the feed ramp. You're going to get stovepipes. It's not going to feed. If you do reload, like I do, and I spoke to Ted about this as well, you need a good set of calipers. The calipers are just as important as your powder measure, and you need a good book with data loads. I use the Lee Precision Reloading Manual. It's about that thick. It's got load data for every caliber and almost every type of bullet. If you want to discuss reloading, Ryan, uh, this would be a great place to do it. I know Mike is just getting into reloading, and him and I have had conversations about it. Um, but you need a good book with reloading data because if you go to the manufacturer's website, they have very limited load data. You may not find it for the caliber and the type of bullet you're reloading. Um, so I use either the Lee or the Hornady reloading guide. Um, and especially now that a lot of people are using copper bullets, or I'm really big on the high tech coated lead bullets. That's a great question, Swamp. Um, I reload and I only use lead bullets. And if you get the high tech coated bullets, you have zero to worry about. The high tech coating uh, protects your body from the lead. You don't get any fouling. It doesn't smell. Um, so I highly recommend them. I mean, the lead bullets are fairly cheap, and if you get the high tech coated lead bullets, I get mine from Steel Valley Casting in Pennsylvania, and I think I get 1,000 of them for like $68, and I shoot them through every gun I own in every caliber. And Ameribados, yes, I own Sig Sauers. I'm not an idiot. I know how to carry a gun safely. I have a P320 and 9mm. I have a P320 and 45 ACP. And I have a P320 X10 Comp 10mm. And guess what? None of mine have ever shot anybody. So, no, lead is not a problem as long as you get high tech coated bullets. If you don't get high tech coated bullets, you're going to foul your barrel. It's going to stink. And obviously, you should be concerned. But I wear rubber gloves when I reload anyway. Um, 44 Bulldog Charter Arms is an awesome gun. I have one as well. That was the original 44 Special, and historically, that's the gun that made Son of Sam popular. Shooting as practice, not reloading. Yeah, I would. After shooting, you should be washing your hands anyway with soap and cold water, never hot water. You don't want to open your pores. But after shooting, you use soap and you clean your hands with cold water, and it won't be a problem. And yes, the Charter Arms 44 Bulldog is what made Son of Sam famous. That's the gun Son of Sam used. It was from a long time ago. If you're not familiar, you may want to Google it. If you're going to reload, I would also recommend you get a good powder measure. Um, I use the RCBS Uniflow, and it's been flawless. I'm very anal about it. I measure every 10th round just to keep it honest, and it's been surprisingly accurate. One thing I will not recommend, and I did the review on it, at one time I purchased the Lee Perfect Measure, and it should have been called the Lee Imperfect Measure because it was so inaccurate, it was dangerous. Every 10th round, when I weighed the powder, it was off by 5, sometimes 10 grams. Charter Arms makes a good gun. I mean, they are made in the USA. I know they've changed ownerships a few times, but I'm not a big fan, Ryan, on automatic measuring. I'm not a fan, not at all. I prefer um, using the manual lever. I used RCBS Uniflow. That's a personal choice. Some people like the fully automatic. Um, it's just like on the reloading press. I prefer a single stage. Um, I use the RCBS Rock Chucker. If you're new to reloading, it's only like 250 bucks. Um, it's made out of cast iron. It'll last forever. I have a RCBS Rock Chucker. It's all I use. It's about 35 years old, and I put tens of thousands of rounds through it, and it's still like brand new, and it still has a lifetime warranty. Um, all the RCBS products have lifetime warranty. Um, the RCBS Uniflow powder measure has got a lifetime warranty. Um, the only thing I don't use from RCBS, I do not use their dies. Um, I prefer the Lee Precision carbide dies, um, and uh, I find them to be superior to anything else I've ever used. Um, but that's just me. Another thing is you're going to need a good scale, and I bought the Lee mechanical scale, and that was so inaccurate as well. Um, I wound up buying a digital scale from Frankfurt Arsenal, and it's been incredibly accurate. Yep, can't go wrong with the RCBS there, Aaron. Um, and again, for uh, my scale, I love the Frankfurt Arsenal. It's only about this big. It looks like a calculator. It's extremely accurate, and it'll measure grams, grains, and ounces if you're doing jewelry. Um, and it's been very, very accurate. Also, um, I would highly recommend if you're getting into reloading, the first time you reload, I would buy brand new brass. Um, I know you can sweep up brass at the range, but you don't know how many times it was reloaded. I highly recommend Starline brass. Um, so, what I normally do when I start reloading a new caliber, I'll usually buy 500 rounds of Starline. Um, and this way I know it's brand new and I'll reload it until the case starts to split. Um, especially on a revolver. I've I have Starline brass I've reloaded at least a dozen times, and they're still like brand new. Um, I've been buying for my 357 Magnum. I've been buying nickel plated brass. Well, nickel plated casings. Um, I find them to be a little harder. Um, no, 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 Mike. No, you should never reload aluminum cases. Absolutely not. Aluminum cases are disposable. Matter of fact, I wouldn't even recommend shooting ammo with aluminum cases. There's a lot of ranges that won't even let you shoot them, or steel. I would not shoot the steel cases either. Like wolf ammo, stay away. Now, one thing, and I think I discussed it with you, Mike. No, let's see. Mark Travis, you're another asshole. You're going away. Um, I think I discussed this with you, Mike. Yeah, go one, Duke. Yeah, we used to live in New Germany too. Yeah, you're lucky you could even buy ammo in New Germany. Um, anyway, I digressed. So I think when I was speaking to Mike the other night, I told him, and I'll share with you guys that reload. Um, you have to be careful when you're buying ammo. Um, I noticed that Blazer, and I like Blazer. It's great ammo. I have never had a problem with it. But what Blazer has done is on their 45 ACP and 10 millimeter, Blazer is using small pistol primer cases, which I didn't even know existed. And I was reloading some 10 millimeter. And when I was at the range, I was picking up my Blazer brass and I threw it in the coffee can. And when I was priming them, I couldn't understand why I was having such a hard time with the primers. Uh, and as it turns out, I looked at the casing, and all of my Blazer brass for 10 millimeter was using small pistol primers. So now I will buy Blazer brass, usually when it's on sale. Um, you can't go wrong for the money. Um, and I'll buy a boatload of Blazer brass, but when I shoot it, I leave it at the range because I'm not going to mix and match large and small primer cases. It's way too much work, and it's very difficult to tell them apart. I'll have to look into that New Lake City brass. Never heard of them. I've only been using Starline. Sometimes I'll use Hornady, but I definitely recommend if you're getting into reloading, the first batch that you make should be brand new factory brass. What I usually do when I reload a batch of ammo, the ammo cases come with these little stickers, and I always put on there how many times they were reloaded. Yeah, get rid of all that aluminum shit, Mike. Trust me, it's not safe to reload. It's not good for your gun. It's going to cause you nothing but problems. And I'm surprised a lot of ranges they won't even let you shoot aluminum cases because normally the ranges they sweep up the brass and you can't reload the um, steel or the aluminum. So a lot of them don't even let you do that. Well, that's interesting. I'll have to check them out, Aaron. I will actually make a note of that right now. And this is Lake City. I know Starline has good prices. Um, Sometimes I will look online for once fired brass. Uh, I believe I got mine from Freedom Munitions, Mike. I found Diamond K to be expensive for brand new brass, personally. Um, but yeah, it was Freedom Munitions. Um, I've even gotten good deals on brass from Midway. Um, I bought, I think I bought 100 packs of nickel cases for my 357 Magnum from Midway, and they were pretty reasonable, uh, especially for a revolver. You can reload that stuff forever, really. And I'm sure there's a lot of other brass manufacturers out there. I just um, personally prefer the Starline. Um, but again, I've looked online for once fired brass, um, and it was pretty good quality. In case you're wondering, I do not clean my brass, and it is not necessary. People do it just because it looks pretty. Um, I thought about getting a brass tumbler. It's a lot of damn work and it's messy between the corn cob and the walnuts. Um, and then, you know, you get all of that. It takes forever to get all the uh, powder out of the cases. Um, I think maybe if I were going to clean brass, um, maybe I'd get an ultrasonic cleaner. Um, but I'm definitely not getting a tumbler. That's a good question, Mike. I don't know offhand. I just bought my 10 millimeter brass. It's been a while, so I don't really remember what I paid for it. Um, and I think my 10 millimeter brass that I bought it online, and I think it was once fired brass, and it was once fired, and also it was uh, it was cleaned. It was not deprimed, but it was cleaned. So I did have to knock the primers out. And 13.9 cents seems like a lot. I'll have to take a look at where I got it from, Mike. If I could dig up uh, my invoice, I'll email it to you. Now, see, like at least for the revolvers, you never really lose brass for a revolver, right? Because it doesn't eject. But 10 millimeter, um, I can't tell you how many cases of 10 millimeter I lost, um, especially at an outdoor range. I mean, that 10 millimeter brass winds up in the next county. Um, it really goes far and it's hard to find. Um, I'm almost thinking that, I should bring like a miniature tarp with me and throw it on the ground just to catch all my 10 millimeter ammo, 10 millimeter brass. Um, I don't care about the 45 because I do love the 45, but I probably have 50,000 rounds of 45 ACP on my workbench, so um, I never really worry that much about being able to find my 45 ACP brass because I'll probably never run out in my lifetime. And just for a time check here, it is 8:45. We will be ending this stream at 9 o'clock. Yeah, that's what I just said, Aaron. I think I'm gonna get a tarp, because when I shoot at the outdoor range, uh, besides the fact that it's hard to find it in the grass, Jib Jab, how you doing, brother? Glad you're able to join us. Unfortunately, it is late. We will be ending this stream in 10 minutes, but I appreciate all your support and you checking in on me while I was on my YouTube suspension for a week. But we're glad to be back, and I'm being very, very careful. Seems no matter how careful I am, uh, they find a way to shut me down. I have a gun. I should be picking it up this week. Uh, and it's only for reviewing purposes. My buddy, the gunsmith, has got a new CZ that was just released, and they only made 500 of them. So I'm dying to see that. So hopefully, if my Smith and Wesson revolver is ready to pick up, I'll pick that up as well, and I will show that on the review this weekend. Also, Jib Jab and all the other people that just joined, on Saturday's stream, we will be doing it back at our normal time again at 12 noon Eastern. On Saturday's stream, I will be giving away a shot timer. I was given a bunch of them to review, and I can only use one, and I like to share the stuff I get with my subscribers. So try to be on the stream Saturday, and you have to be a subscriber to be eligible, but I will be giving one of them away. I'd rather give them to you guys than to have them just sitting on the shelf. And I use my shot timers a lot. Every time I dry fire train, I use a shot timer. And we got about 10 minutes left, so if you guys have any topics you want to discuss or any questions, type them in and we'll do that. This stream is for you guys. You all asked for it, and that's why we do it. And I love talking about guns. And Justin, you're going away because you're an asshole. And we're still getting some liberals that join the stream, but that's okay. David, that's a great question. Well, I am no longer a fan of Glock. I used to be a Glock poster child, but since they caved and discontinued all their flagship series firearms with the V series, I will never buy another Glock. I've seen the V series. I've seen the Gen 6s. Don't care to shoot them. I will never buy another Glock again. As a pistol instructor, when my students would ask me, what is a good gun for a new gun owner, I used to always tell them a Glock 19. Now, I tell them a Ruger RXM. Ruger RXM is only about $400. Out of the box, it comes with more features than the Glock does. It shoots as well as the Glock. It's optic ready. That's a great question, Jib Jab. And I got to tell you, I have a couple firearms with compensated barrels. And I'll be honest with you, for a 9mm, I don't notice much difference. I think it's all hype, and I don't think it's worth the money, even though I have a few of them. 9mm doesn't recoil that much anyway. So wasting your money on a compensated barrel, I don't know. I just don't think you're going to really notice the difference. Like I said, I have a few 9mm that I purchased that just happen to have a compensator, but the 9mm recoil is so minimal that I just didn't notice it. I don't think it's worth the money, and I think it's all a bunch of hype on a 9mm. Now, 10mm, that's a different story. I have the SIG P320 X10 comp, and it definitely helps mitigate recoil on a 10 millimeter. But on a 9, that's just my opinion. I don't think it's worth spending the extra money. Everybody wants to be the cool kid on the block, and all the manufacturers, that's all they keep doing now, right? They're coming out with new stuff because they need more people to buy their guns. I got to tell you, Jib Jab, that P320 X10, that is sweet. That is one of my favorite guns. And yes, it's a Sig Sauer. I don't care. It never shot anybody. But man, is that a beautiful shooting gun. It's heavy, which is probably why it reduces the recoil, and it's compensated. But I got to tell you, that 320 X10 is one of my favorites. Yes, it'll shoot 40 caliber. Good job for remembering. David, that's a great question. Do I think the Kimber 1911 is good quality and worth the money? Well, as I stated earlier, if I have a bad experience with a brand, I will never buy another one. And Kimber is one of those where you either love them or hate them. I always wanted a Kimber, and I bought the Kimber Custom 2 1911 in 45 ACP, and it was the biggest disappointment I ever had. I think every 5th round jammed, and I had nothing but problems with that Kimber 1911. I hated it so much, and it was such a disappointment because I always wanted one, that I traded that gun in and I bought my Colt Government Competition Plus and never looked back. And unfortunately, just like anything else, I could have gotten a bad one. And in hindsight, it could have even been the magazines, because every 1911 that I own, I either use Wilson Combat or Chip McCormick magazines instead of the factory mags, even in my Colt. And maybe I should have tried different magazines on the Kimber, but my feeling is that if it comes with a factory mag, the damn thing should work. And I was very disappointed. And I will never, because of that, I will never buy another Kimber. And like I said earlier, if I have an issue with a brand, not only will I never buy it again, I'll never trust it to protect my life. So that's just me. A lot of people love Kimbers, but there are a lot of people that had problems with them. You can Google it or watch YouTube. There are a lot of people that have trouble with the Kimbers. Now, I get that a lot of the 1911s especially, there's like a 500 round break-in period, but you shouldn't have every 5th round jam. And David, speaking of Colt, their quality now is better than Colt has ever been, to be honest with you. I bought my Colt Government Competition Plus a year ago, just like my Python. And being that Colt is owned by CZ, the quality is even better, I think, than it was when Colt owned them. I agree, Jib Jab. Kimbers do have a finicky reputation, but I believe it is just. I mean, I had trouble with mine, and I read a lot of articles and watched a lot of videos on people having trouble with theirs. Um, is it limited to specific models, maybe? I don't know. Some of the Kimber looks really hot, like the Raptide. Um, that is a hot looking gun, but I won't buy it because of Kimber. That's just me. Wilson Combat makes the best 1911 mags ever. And so does Chip McCormick. And by the way, Wilson Combat now owns Chip McCormick. So those are the only two mags I would ever use. Um, every gun, every 1911 that I own, I take the factory mags out, put them in the box, and I run Wilson Combats. And I have never, ever, ever had a jam or a misfire with a Wilson Combat mag, or a Chip McCormick for that matter. All right, guys, we got 1 minute left. A lot of new people on this stream today, which I'm very happy about. We do this stream every Wednesday evening, 8 o'clock Eastern, every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel, turn on your notification, and watch as many of our videos as possible. We have over 850 videos, and when you watch our videos, we generate a little bit of income, and that's how we buy more stuff to review for you guys. And again, thank you again, Jib Jab, for your support. I really appreciate that. And a special thanks to our moderators. Couldn't do this without you guys, really. We get more and more liberals crawling out of their parents' basements every week. But that's a good thing. That means more people are finding out about us. But this live stream wouldn't be a success if it wasn't for all of you guys and our moderators. So I thank you. Love you all. We'll be back Saturday. Don't forget, Saturday we will be giving away a shot timer. Have a blessed evening, guys. Thank you very much.